Alrighty, well, here's my May update. I know it's been a little bit since I've done one of these tours. But I mean, winter kind of lingered a little bit this year, and I wanted to let some developments happen. I figured it'd be a lot more fun to kind of let some pictures open and some things happen before giving another update. And yeah, a lot of new growth. This is gonna be a pretty long video. A lot of plants out here, and a lot of new stuff to update you guys on. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in. Here is the Nepenthes Jamban. Put out its last lower picture from the main vine. It's got two other basal shoots, and this one looks like it's about to start vining as well. Yeah, this one should be transitioning to intermediate pitchers and then uppers now that it's got a vine going. And yeah, 5 years of my care, 5 plus, almost 6, and still kicking, doing great. Hopefully someday a flower out of this guy. I mean, you don't see a lot of Jamban crosses, so it probably has to be pretty old to flower. But yeah, and then next to it is its brother sibling species, Dragonie, and actually there's nothing to really talk about on this plant other than the fact that it looks pretty healthy and promising the pitcher. The mother plant looks like it's going to pitcher. There's definitely going to be some pitchers on the basals, and it looks like this could be a pretty nice looking plant by midsummer, which is unusual for it because usually, or at least in the last couple of years, it really hasn't pitchered much or done a whole lot. But it looks like whatever was bothering it, looks like it's rebounding from that, and it looks like it's going to do pretty well this year, which I'm very excited about. And then here's another Sumatran toilet species. This is Nepenthes enormous. Looking good. Holding 2 pitchers. Doesn't hold on to a ton of pitchers at a time. I think it's just the way the species is. I mean, it kills off leaves pretty quick. I mean, you can see that there's not a whole lot of length on that vine. It kills off those leaves and pitchers quickly. And then, but it looks like there's a chance of holding on to 3 for a little bit, having a little bit of overlap. Hopefully that works out. So, down on the table, we have Ventricosa cross Attenburyii. This is a new BE release. Opened a pitcher here. Just spectacular coloration on this little hybrid, and I'm not really sure where that comes from. I'm really interested to see what Attenburyii they used to make this hybrid. Must have been a really, really colorful one. Yeah, so I just love to see the parent species involved, but it's or the individual parents involved. But it's putting on a little size, and I'm interested to see if these pitchers get pretty big. And I imagine they would with the Attenburyii parentage and the Ventricosa hybrids oftentimes get decently sized, so we'll see. And here's Maxima clipiata. Open up a new pitcher here behind a pretty ugly leaf. It's a lot of edema, or it's either, or it might be sunburn. I'm not really sure, but really nice pitcher. You know, looks like very strong clipiata influence. Perfect amount of Maxima to give it some kind of a red tinge. Very beautiful plant. I got this last year from California Carnivores. I used my gift certificate that I won from the Bay Cap show and sale to get it, and I'm very pleased. Great little addition. And back there is Rob Cantley, Ursula Cuties cross Spectabilis. Looking really good since I cut the mother vine. I didn't like the mother vine. It was like sick and just not doing too well. So I let these 2 basils grow in, and they look fantastic, honestly. Those pitchers, you know, nice classic example of a basal pitcher. You know, it's small, but it has all the characteristics of a larger pitcher. Has really nice detail and good color, good shape at a small size. So there's that. And here's a favorite. This is the Vichii lowii cross Edwardsiana from Flore. Big plant. This is gonna get enormous. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Already 19 inches across, and the thing is that it's 19 inches and it takes up even more room than a normal 19-inch plant would, because look at how these tendrils splay out like that. Just absolutely sprawls across the table, and it's gonna have a new pitcher opening up back there. But yeah, so big diameter, big pitchers, pretty big pitchers. I mean, we will see how big these get, and there's a good chance that they get pretty large, because I mean, Vichii lowii is a big plant, and then Edwardsiana is also a very big plant. So, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't complain about that. I think these would look great at a huge size. And this one is not fully open yet. Not fully colored up or fully open, but it's getting there. And if you guys want to see an update on this as when it's fully opened, I can definitely do that. And yeah, it's pitchering off the table, and I've kind of let a few plants do that, like Ventricosa and Lowii as well. And back there is Burbigia Vici mollis, holding on to some winter pitchers in the fall still, and I'm pretty pleased with that. And it's always been a little susceptible to pest damage, as you can see here in the leaf, but this newest leaf is looking pretty good, albeit a little sunburned, but should be a good pitcher coming on that leaf. And yeah, looks almost like pure mollis, a good substitute for mollis. I just never really had success with the pure species, but I've only tried once. So, but at this point, I mean, I'm kind of like not really looking to add a whole lot to the collection. So we'll have to kind of go with this mollis substitute for now. And here is Vici. This is the Carnivoro, Big Mama Cross Pink Candy Stripe. That's the newest picture. It opened up about a month ago, I want to say. And it's starting to fade a little bit. And it's going to end up looking like this. It gets a nice rusty orange peristome after a while. New leaf looks healthy. And it's been in this pot since I got it, 2.5 years ago. And I accidentally planted this in pure Akadama. I really didn't mean to. I think I just forgot to mix up the rest of the substrate. But it's doing great, so I've never unpotted it or never changed it. I thought it was cool to have a Vici growing in Sphagnum and then another one growing in Akadama and kind of see how they do. And this one does not complain. So yeah, great Grex to add to the collection if you're a Vici lover. Here is Raja Burbigia. So this plant by midsummer is going to be looking spectacular as well. Really needs a lot of light and warm temperatures. It really needs spring and summer to pitcher. Otherwise, it doesn't give a whole lot. It's not very generous with the pitchers, but this leaf looks promising for a pitcher. And then the newest leaf back there looks like it's going to have a pitcher. And on top of that, this basil growth, well, the smallest basil has a pitcher, and then some nice, promising looking tendrils on the basil growth. So very excited about that. Nice cluster of pitchers on this guy by midsummer, I'm guessing. So, and this is a very beautiful one. This Raja Burbigia, it's got great color, like a minty green, and fantastic red peristome. So they're absolutely a sight to behold when they do occur. So, and speaking of a sight to behold, and Raja, here is the newest star of the greenhouse. This is Raja cross lowii Vici, and goodness gracious, that is huge. It is colorful. It's just so Raja-like. I'm very, very impressed with this plant. And in the spring and summer, the leaves color up to this this kind of maroon. Just an absolutely beautiful plant in every capacity. That peristome, and this is not even fully opened yet. This has got a little ways to go. The peristome is going to get more serrated, and it's going to get bigger. And then the peristome will darken up to a pure red. It'll look a lot like Raja, honestly, from what I've seen. And from what I'm seeing here, if you look at the side profile, and if you just kind of look at the overall shape, the picture opening, just Raja, like a colorful Raja. And this plant's still a juvenile. I mean, I'm excited about this plant, but it's got a ways to go. I mean, this isn't even that close to its full size. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing, but I'll have to figure it out. And I will definitely do an update on this one as the picture continues to develop. And then there's another picture coming back here on it. So, and it's resting on Nepenthes Macrophyla cross lowii, which has one nice picture on it right now. Again, it's definitely more of a spring pitcherer than a winter pitcherer. I used to believe that it would only pitcher in the spring and summer, but it actually proved me wrong this year and put out a winter pitcher, but usually not quite as big. Has a promising looking tendril on this big leaf back here. So within a month it'll have another pitcher. And then yeah, just looking as usual, healthy and happy. It's never complained really. Always been an easy grower. Always been just such a pleasure to have in the greenhouse, to have this extraordinary rare hybrid, just doing well constantly and putting on size. So, and here is its half brother, these lowii shoes Maddie, with a picture coming here, and here's a picture from last fall. Still kicking, still looking pretty good. Good development. Lots of lid bristles. A little bit skinny and elongated compared to other forms of lowii, and I know the Mulu form tends to have wavier wings and be a little bit fatter, but this is pretty cool. I mean, I really Really enjoy this lowii Truncata that I got in 2019. It's got a new leaf coming. Putting on some size recently. It is a slow grower. I mean, it has that reputation for a reason, but it does grow. It's worth growing. If you can get one at a bigger size, like let's say, you know, like a 4 or 5 inch lowii, definitely worth grabbing. The seedlings I would never have the patience to wait on, but so behind lowii is the Nepenthes veitchii cross lowii, which for the longest time just would not put on any size, and it took years for it to get from a 6.5, 7 inch plant to a 9 inch plant, and then suddenly it just took off. So it will have some pictures on it within the next couple months. It has one on it right now. It's pretty nice, but I'm interested to see how the leaf jump pictures look. This one's still looking pretty sharp. It's starting to fade a little bit, but the lowii keeps it from fading quite as drastically as pure veitchii does, and I'm gonna have to probably readjust that tendril once this video is over, so I don't really want, oh shit. Yeah, a lot of things, the problem is when your plants start getting big, you have to be really careful about moving around in such a small place like this greenhouse. I am not a small guy, so this greenhouse gets a little bit cramped with me in here and all these plants. This is Truncata, Highland Reddish leaves. I got this 2021, left in this fall, and easy grower, very slow, but worth it. And new picture coming behind the table over there in the corner. I'm a little afraid to move anything to show, but you don't really need to see it anyway. But finally putting on a little size, and that latest picture looks pretty good, but not quite at its most spectacular peak yet. You know, obviously you've seen these grown to monstrous sizes, and it's just truly a special Truncata. Up here is veitchii. Got a little sick. I think he got some thrips or something, but I mean, it's not, the plant's fine, but it dropped some pictures and it just doesn't look overall quite as happy right now, but I'm sure it'll come back fine. I treated it. And this is the BE veitchii 3734, 2018 acquisition. I think I got this as a birthday present that year. So, but it's been pretty easy. It's, you know, had a couple pest problems here and there, but for the most part, it marches through those and it's pretty resilient. And here is Hamada cross Rub Cantlii, the award winner, as I like to call it, because it has won multiple awards at the show and sales for bay caps. And here it has some basal growth here. Mother plant, it's just putting on a lot of size, and some looks like a pitcher jump on one of the basal growths. I mean, I actually chopped one of the basals, so it only has one basal right now. So. But yeah, the pitcher jumps are coming on the basal growth, which is cool. So it'll have more similar sized pitchers on the basal, and that's the latest pitcher it opened up. Just looking so good. Looks like a piece of ceramic artwork, as one of the judges called it in when evaluating the plants. Super cool cross. Definitely a must-have for the collection, or the reverse. You know, robbed by Hamada. And then back here is the monster Glandulifera and Naga. Right now, pictureless, but it's got one going to open probably in the next week or two. And I'm pretty sure that the pictures that it came with and that I was documenting the last couple of years were intermediates, because there's definitely been a change in the morphology of these. They're definitely a bit smoother, a little bit of different shape, so something's changed. I think these are true uppers, and they're not quite as big either, but still a very special plant. I just want this thing to flower, to be honest, so I can eventually chop it back. Really, I still haven't got any basal growth out of it, which is too bad, because I like the lowers a lot as well on this cross from what I've seen. Exotica plants, and this was 2020 when I acquired this. Red Leaf Exotics import. I feel very lucky. There hasn't been any of these circling around since, so glad I jumped on it, was able to get it for a damn good price. So here's a fairly recent acquisition. This is a Vigorous hybrid. This is, for the predatory plants, this is I think Talented Vision or something. It is Truncata and veitchii cross Afipiata cross Vigorous. And I was looking for a Vigorous of some sort, a Vigorous hybrid or the pure species, and I came across this, and I was like, wow, you know, quarter Afipiata, Truncata and veitchii, and then Vigorous. How can you go wrong with that? And even though it looks mostly like Vigorous, You know, that's fine. I mean, like I said, I was looking for something Vogelii related, and if not the pure species, so I don't mind. This looking mostly like Vogelii, and we'll see how some of these genetics play as the plant matures and gets bigger. I was lucky to get this from a good grower, a great price, and a great size. So, you know, pretty excited to see how this does and what the intermediates and uppers look like. And here's Nepenthes Naga. Another big pitcher club entry. This is 8.5 inch long pitcher. So this one, and not surprising with that leaf jump that this was going to be a bit bigger. But it's opened a bunch of pitchers recently. Here's another one back here. And then here's another one back here that just opened. And these go through a nice long color style, or cycle. There's a lot to enjoy. They start off green, and then eventually they get red, and then eventually they get plum color, and eventually they get pretty dark. They're not black, but they do get pretty dark. Very deep purple. And this is a seed-grown one from Christian Klein that I got in 2020. Back here is Nepenthes Robcantlii. Put out a picture here. Looks a little stressed for some reason still, but it's growing a lot better, and has another one coming. And I'm excited to get some more Robcantlii pictures back in my greenhouse. And it's been a minute since I've seen a respectable one from this one, so... last year I just kind of messed up with it, and I let the misters spray it constantly, and it didn't like that at all. So, and here are some little Sundews back here. Here's Ultramathica, super cool Sundew from the same mountains that Nepenthes attenborii and Nepenthes palamonensis grow on. Here's a Guineana, little vining Sundew. There's a pin cutting I got last year. It looks like it's still doing pretty good. Stylidium debile. Flowered a lot recently, but I think it's killed off its flowers. And here's some Admirabilis. Seems like this Drosera Admirabilis goes dormant and then makes a lot of pups. Because there were not this many in the container last year. Here's Palamonensis that flowered recently. I don't know if I was really able to collect a lot of viable pollen off of it, but I did get some in vials, and some is in my freezer. I don't really know though if it's really usable. Seems like a lot of it just dries up. But I repotted this one in bonsai soil, just like my Raja Berbigiae, and then everything that I've repotted into the soil just basils prolifically. Like this right here, that basil looks really good. It's gonna have some pictures on it, unlike the mother plant, which is reluctant to picture. But yeah, this was an April 2018 acquisition, so 5 years, and you know, not too bad to grow. Not the easiest thing ever. Doesn't always like the picture, but for the most part, it's never really complained too much. Here's a cool little plant. Doesn't have the flowers on it right now that make this so special, but this is Aescananthus kinnibalu. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't really know, but it's a rooted cutting from the late Jeff Wong's collection that California Carnivores was selling, and I got this as a Christmas present. And it has the coolest looking flowers when it blooms. So hopefully soon, and I'll definitely like to show that off. Very excited to own this extremely rare plant. And here is Nepenthes platykyla. A few leaf jumps on this guy recently. It's super slow, but you know, I don't mind kind of hanging on to it, and hopefully someday it'll grow those uppers and fine. But I'm not holding my breath either. This is Christian Klein as well. Here is Nepenthes ramispina, and I brought this into the Bay Caps show last year, and I heard the judges talking about it as I was the judge's scribe, and the biggest issue they had with it, and the reason why they didn't give it third place, was because there's a little bit of waviness to the leaves. Not really sure what that's about, but the plant seems very happy. I moved it here because I think it's really worth being in better view. Beautiful pictures on this one. Nice and dark, green interior. Never gotten a flower out of this, and this has been around for a long time. I think 2014 was when my mother actually bought this plant, way back in 2014. I wasn't really growing Nepenthes at the time. I was in college, and but I came back home and I realized how great these plants were, and this was one of them that kind of woke me up to Nepenthes again. So. And it's looking really, really good with all that basil growth and those vines. So, yeah. Here's one I really like a lot. This is Nepenthes epiphytica across mollis. And this picture opened up in... Let me try to get this off so we get a better look. This picture opened up in April, and looking really good now with those dark color tones. You can tell which one when they open up. Like the lighter color tone ones are in winter, and then ones like this are in the spring and summer. And another one back here, it'll be looking nice and symmetrical with a nice rosette of pitchers. Very easy and vigorous grower. Very glad Westula came out with some Epiphytica crosses. You really just don't see the pure species much. Here is Talangensis veitchii boschkiana. Not much to write home about at the moment, other than the fact that it's grown a lot and it looks like it's vining, and it's going to have some good pitchers hanging off the edge of the table, and it'll be a nice sight to see. Some nice dark pitchers on a big plant back half of the greenhouse. So yeah. And then here is Veitchii lowii cross spectabulis that I got 2018 fall, I believe, and it's a very slow grower. If you have patience, I'd say maybe suggest picking this one up, but for the most part, you're going to be waiting a long time to see nice pictures from this, or at least pictures that are truly spectacular. I really like this picture. Maybe it doesn't really capture it on camera, but when this opened up, it was definitely very eye-catching. You walk in the greenhouse, you see these lovely color tones, the gradiated peristome, the striped showiness of the plant is really good. I mean, you expect that from the spectabulis. And then Veitchii lowii, obviously, too. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with those ingredients. And yeah, two double growth point plant. It's going to have a lot of pictures on it soon. And then here's some of my Helianthera. I was actually really depressed about Helianthera for a little bit because I killed one of my McDonaldii hybrids and my pure McDonaldii, and I just fucking hated Helianthera for a little bit. But I don't really know why, all the expensive ones, even though McDonaldii is not supposed to be, the hardest to grow, I don't know why my expensive ones like to die and my cheap ones survive forever, But here's Helianthera uncinata, not looking too bad. I have to cut off a lot of the old growth, but it's got some healthy looking new growth coming up from the center, and hopefully some mature pictures from it soon. Here is folliculata cross, or Tadii cross folliculata that I got in 2017. Here's a basal division from the original mother plant that I got in 2017. And here's Porcella, which is new growth coming up from the center. Hopefully in a couple months it'll be bigger and I can show it off more. Here's Glauber cross mutans. Again, I have to trim some of these back. I've just been kind of neglecting the Lilies. Here's Ionaceae cross Sarracenoides. Some good looking new growth. Really cool cross. Ionaceae and Sarracenoides. It should be like a giant Sarracenoides. Starting to spread a little bit, so looking pretty good. And here is Parva cross Ionaceae. It's going to have a nice looking new picture coming up in the center. Good looking new picture here. These are very, very nice. Really good shape. Great nectar spoon. Great color. Very iridescent and reflective. And then another reason why I was depressed about Helianthera is because I almost killed this guy. A year ago this plant was looking absolutely gorgeous, and it caught like a fungus or something while I was off on a business trip, and yeah, almost died. I think I might have saved it. I mean, that looks like fairly decent looking new growth, but it's gonna be a long time before it's back where it was and putting out these 9 or 10 inch high pitchers. I really missed this one. It was so gorgeous. And here's Sarracenoides cross Burgundy Black. So this is looking good, finally. I don't think it liked winter much, but it's putting out some good looking new growth and some pictures. And I'm very excited. Got this back in 2021, and I just wanted it to take off, and it's been a long time, but it's starting to do better. And here are cool two little Sumatran gems. This is Nepenthes Aristocuides, 2021 acquisition. Some nice looking new pictures, and this one likes to attract thrips, so I have to be very careful, and I have to always check it, and I have to treat it a lot, but it's very happy right now. I got this from Carnivoro when they were selling Aristocuides. And yeah, it hasn't really put on any size since I got it, but it's definitely growing, and it's definitely taller, which is cool. And there's the Nepenthes densiflora, Camiri, Vestuba, Camiri. I think it's just densiflora, honestly. Looking good. That really reflective crimson peristome and a darker pitcher body. Really cool little plant. And it stays compact and doesn't take up too much room, which I really like as well. And then here is Raja Jacquelinie, which I got this April 2022, so last year, about 13 months ago, and all it's done is put out one tiny microscopic pitcher, but it likes to put out tendrils and then kill them off. But I have a good feeling about this one. This tendril seems very active. It wasn't twisted like that yesterday, and it just looks good. It looks strong, healthy, and substantial. And hopefully there'll be a little bit of a maturation jump on the next picture, because this new leaf, it's not a huge leaf jump, but there's definitely some changes. Like that petiole is a lot longer, and the tendril insertion is a lot more peltate. So hopefully we'll get if that ends up being a pitcher, it'll be nice and a nice jump from the last ones. But yeah, very healthy plant. It's never been unhealthy. It just hasn't liked the pitcher. And here is the stunning Spatulata Jacquelinie. Just wow, big pitcher club, 8.5-inch pitcher. Just a trio of nice ones that opened in quick succession. Because winter slowed it down, and sometimes what happens is when plants kind of sink back up in the spring, they'll put out a bunch of pitchers all at once, and that's what this one did, and just looking gorgeous. I'm gonna bring this one into the Bay Cap show this year, but I would be surprised if it wins just because of some edema spots. That said, I think it's worth showing off to people. Just absolutely spectacular plant. People want to see this one, especially now that it's actually pretty good sized. I haven't seen too many of this hybrid grown to this size, and hopefully it'll have this one open by the show. And it plates pitchers pretty quickly, so we will see. We have these Truncata, Titanic Tyrant from Predatory Plants. Here is one pitcher, and there is the most recent one that just opened back here in the corner. These get nice and red on the peristome. Stay pretty green on the pitcher body, but very cool plant nonetheless. Myrmicodia, Platytyria, ant plant. Cool addition to the greenhouse. And I'm going to try to get through this fairly quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on each individual plant. Here's Singolana, which doesn't have a whole lot to write home about it right now, just because it doesn't have a lot of active pitchers on it. But triple growth points, and it's coming out of winter or winter-like conditions. So it's got a long vine back there. I'm probably gonna chop that and let it focus its energy on pitchering and making more growth. And speaking of vines, here is Spatulata diabolica. This plant has just been the most vigorous plant I've ever grown. This new pitcher is looking good. Very vibrant, very good color, perfectly shaped. And then it's about to start putting out intermediates and uppers. We got an intermediate forming there, and then another intermediate forming here. Hopefully some uppers soon on this vine. But yeah, big fan of this cross. Very glad I picked it up, and it's just been a non-stop grower since I got it. Here's Peltata Jacquelinie. This one is not striped, but I am not complaining. I think it's a cool little plant regardless. That foliage is very beautiful, and really nice looking little pitcher. Tubby, and we'll see as it matures if that peristome clears out like Jacquelinie. Some Exotica plants. There's Edward Sienna back there. No pitchers on it right now. It's just, it definitely struggled a bit in the winter, but it looks like it's doing better now. Here's my first Hednophytum, and this is the Foricarum. I'm not as good with names when it comes to non-carnivorous plants, but here's Cephalotus. Trying to put out some pitchers, and what looks like it's gone a little bit dormant or something, but it's lost its couple of its bigger pitchers, and it looks small again. And here's some of my pins that are also kind of going back into succulent stage. Here's the cherry bomb that I got from California Carnivores. Here's this orchid. Again, I'll show the tag like I always do whenever I highlight this one, if you want to know what it is. It's been in bloom for a couple months now. It looks great. I enjoy growing some companion plants too. Utricularia longifolia, Cross alpina, Utricularia livida, and here's a little Admirabilis cutting. This one took. Ilii macfarlanii, I guess Ulu Kaliana now. It's not Macfarlanii anymore, but kind of just an ambiance plant. It's not really like a showstopper, but it's cool to have some Ulu Kaliana genetics in here, and I always enjoy that. And there's Bellii, and never anything to write home about. It's a lowlander. And then here's Hamada that got thrips recently, but we treated it and has a picture coming. This is the Lumut form clone number 3, a confirmed female from Wistuba. And here is Nepenthes Rocco Boschiana cross Veitchii. This is the Carnivoro Grex of that hybrid, and they used an absolutely beautiful Veitchii K in the making of this cross. Very colorful so far. Almost looks like a piece of very fruit-like colors, very bright, and should be a spectacular one as it matures. Hamada Platykyla. Nothing to write home about right now. It's small and pictureless. Here is Bellii cross Aristolchoides. A very nice Aristolchoides cross, actually. Does these great dark pictures. And a lot of tendrils inflating, so this will look like a great plant by midway through the summer. Here's Peltatas. This is a 3464 Grex. No pictures on it right now, but puts out incredible pictures, as we all know about this Grex, but it will have a couple soon. Here is Peltata 4025, which is very similar looking to my 3464. It has a small picture back there that there's nothing to write home about. This plant does that, or the species seems to do that, and puts out random size pictures. It really needs to be in midsummer to inflate big ones. And then here is Spatulata Aristolchoides cross lowii. Some great looking basal pictures. Very interesting color, interesting shape, interesting peristome. And then the upper pictures, they're not bad. I mean, they kind of look like lowii Ventricosa or something. I mean, when it gets uppers, not even really. But nice, good vine. Basil's huge. And then Brabigii Veitchii, pictureless right now. It doesn't like to inflate a lot of tendrils. It's not a generous plant when it comes to pictures. And Brachinia reducta, a lot of pups. People say that once this plant flowers, it dies back, but it takes a long time for the mother plant to truly die back after it flowers. I mean, it flowered almost 3 years ago, and this is the first year where it looks like the mother plant is truly dead. Here's Vricia gigantea, looking great, just doing great. Bilbergia Darth Vader. And Spondiana's back here. But it's been a half-hour long video, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. And I will do some highlights soon, and I will keep you guys updated on what happens in the greenhouse.